Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Be Well, Be Keto. And today's guest is Christine Trimpe of Joyful Keto Life. And Christine is pretty awesome. She has not only lost 100 pounds, but she has healed her body from fatty liver disease, sleep apnea, and PCOS. Is that amazing? I can't wait for you to hear from her. So let's go say hi to Christine.
Welcome to the Be Well, Be Keto podcast, where we showcase ordinary people who have achieved extraordinary results. Your host is the high energy girl, health coach, and personal trainer, Tracy Gluhite.
If there is a way that you could literally turn back the hands of time, have a better mood, more energy, libido, greater muscle tone, improved memory, healthier hair, skin, nails. I know I want healthier skin. Lose the chicken neck. Better joint flexibility and mobility. Some fat loss, especially around the midsection. Increased strength and bone density without having to swallow a bunch of pills. If there was a way that you could have all these benefits, would you want to know about it? Well, the answer is here. We have the only FDA-registered transdermal, over-the-counter human growth hormone product. To check out some juicy details, head on over to highenergygel.com. Have you joined the Facebook group yet? I have a new Facebook group called High Energy Girls, and that is pretty much where I'm hanging out these days, and I would love to have you a part of the group. So head on over to High Energy Girls on Facebook. Hey, Christine, thanks for coming on the show today.
Hi, Tracy. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited.
Well, I'm excited too, because I think that you have an incredible story that our listeners would love to hear about.
Great.
So for those that don't know you yet, why don't you just let them know a little bit about who Christine is?
All right, I'll give you a brief bio. I am 51 years old. I have battled with obesity since I went off to college my freshman year, started gaining weight. And so that's how my keto journey started. My lifelong battle with obesity, I should say, started back then. And right now I'm living in Southeast Michigan with my family. I have a husband that I met at college, my sweet college sweetheart. I have two young adult children that are still here with me. And I'm a controller for a physician organization, so I do have some influence over the medical care providers in my realm. And I am currently trying to step away a little bit from my part-time or my full-time position, making it more of a part-time position so that I can pursue my new passion, which is helping people get motivated and inspired to take care of their own personal health. And I have a story to share with them, and I love inspiring people. I love motivating people. And so I do all of that through my blog and through my Facebook group that I have and through just daily encounters that I have with people. That's where I'm at right now.
That is awesome. So we're going to chunk that down because that was a super duper high level overview.
Yes, exactly.
So
you pick what you want to focus on.
Well, I think the way I want to start is, so you had a weight issue, right? And then how did you find keto? How did you get started? And what did you do?
All right. Well, over the past 30 years, I've tried every diet under the sun. I've done Weight Watchers, medical weight loss clinic. I have been, I actually did for 10 months, I did a liquid protein shake diet under hospital supervision, which I did lose a lot of weight during that. But during that time, nobody ever talked to me about my metabolic dysfunction or what would happen if I started eating carbs again. So as soon as I started eating healthy carbs again, which, potatoes, whole wheat grains, things like that, I instantly started gaining the weight back again, didn't understand what was going on. So went a few more years trying again, everything under the sun. And then I have a friend that was really into natural health remedies, and she started talking to me about hormones, and I was thinking that is probably something that I should dig into. So I spent a lot of time reading about my hormones, realized that sugar is probably was the number one thing to blame for my health issues. And then, so I started quitting sugar. And when I did that, within probably about 6 weeks, I was not having cravings anymore for carbs, and I was feeling really good, but I wasn't losing any weight, which I couldn't understand. So then I had another conversation with this friend, and she happened to say, "Hey, have you ever heard of intermittent fasting and Dr. Fung?" And I had never heard of them or him. So I went home that night, Googled Fung and hormones and fasting, and landed on the website that changed my life. That day was the last day that I ate potatoes, bread, and pasta. And as soon as I did that, that was like the next step I needed to really jumpstart my weight loss and my healing of all my chronic conditions.
Awesome.
So that's how I found it. January 13th, 2017. I'll never forget the date. So
so it's been about 2 years. We're coming up on the 2 years.
Yeah, almost my 2-year keto-versary. Yeah. So, or it was. Yes. What am I talking about? It is January 19th now. So
wow, that's
it
awesome.
was 2 years last week. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's go back to, I want to ask you some questions about previously, before keto. So why do you think that after doing 10 months of a liquid diet, why do you think that you gained the weight back?
Well, first of all, I did lose some weight on the diet. I didn't get down to an ideal body weight, but I actually had some of those shakes still in my stuffed way back in my cupboard. And I looked at the ingredient label after I found keto, and those shakes are full of sugar too. So once I started going into what they considered the maintenance phase, they had a registered dietitian that would sit with us and go over meal planning, and actually we did some things in the kitchen, and they were all well, it wasn't all, but it basically followed like the My Plate formula, where it's like 60% of your plate is carbohydrate based. And my body, I just cannot handle the carbohydrates. So as soon as I eliminated them from my diet, that's when things really started to improve.
So here's my guess. Okay. Now I'm not a doctor, registered dietitian, but here's my guess. You were doing a very low calorie diet with the liquid, and it contained a lot of sugar. So essentially you were a glucose burner, and you were not getting enough sustenance to maintain your basal metabolic rate. So your body needed to dip into your muscle stores and convert your protein, convert your muscle to glucose to be used for fuel.
No doubt at all, because I never felt great when I was doing that diet. I was functioning, I was going through life, but in comparison to how I feel following a ketogenic diet, it's a 100% turnaround, because with keto, I have energy all day long. Sometimes I can't even stop at night because I just have so much energy to burn. And it's like, okay, I have to sleep now. So, and I tell people that about the amazing energy, and they just look at me like, you're crazy. But I'm like, no, really, I'm not crazy. I promise you that if this is the type of diet that is good for your body, you will have so much amazing energy. So so I think you're absolutely right.
So then when you finished, right, because of your body basically cannibalizing its muscle, then your metabolic rate is lower once you completed the diet. And so you were eating, more calories, and plus your hormones were probably pretty wonky from, not basically starving itself. Now, let's converse that. So like the opposite of that is actually fasting, right? And did you start fasting first, or did you start keto first, or simultaneously?
Simultaneously, because I had already quit sugar. And then on that day that I discovered keto, it was easier, I want to say, than, jumping in cold turkey, but it was easier for me to go ahead and just stop the rest of the carbohydrates that were damaging my body. And then I started fasting too. I'm like, I have never been a breakfast eater. So why was I eating breakfast? I was at that time, I was in the middle of a diabetes prevention program through the ADA. And so I was eating 5 times a day, and I was eating oatmeal for breakfast. And like I said, I've never been a breakfast eater. So I stopped and asked myself, why am I eating breakfast? I'm not even hungry. And plus oatmeal, blueberries, that was a high carb breakfast. So immediately I stopped that, and I'm like, I know I can at least fast from after dinner time until lunch the next day. So that's how I started. And then as soon as I started trying to recognize my hunger signals more, I was able to stretch out the intermittent fasting, and I did a lot of that. I still do it every day. 18-6 is my fasting routine, but I was able to do a little bit longer fast as I was losing weight because I had plenty of fat to burn. So,
oh, awesome!
That's my fasting story. Yes.
So then, what type of results, start with that. What type of results did you experience?
Immediately? Like when I first started keto?
Go ahead.
Yeah. And when I first started keto, it didn't take very long for me to realize that I didn't need to eat when I wasn't hungry. And I really never suffered from extreme hunger pains. And like I said, I had already quit sugar, so I wasn't having any sugar cravings. And so I don't think that quitting the potatoes, bread, and pasta was that difficult because I was already used to, not feeding my face with sugar. So as soon as I started the keto and the fasting, I would say within like 2 weeks time, I started feeling a lot of energy, and I started feeling like something is really different about doing this. And that's when I started posting, and the weight was dropping off pretty quickly too in the beginning. Within a couple of weeks, I was sharing information publicly on my Facebook with my friends, and which was very unusual for me because I was always very ashamed of my obesity and how I had let myself get like that. So it was, dieting wasn't something I really shared publicly, but because it was such an amazing turnaround in such a short amount of time, I felt like I had to share. And I think that's so I have quite a few friends that are following this way of life with me, and it's very encouraging to see them changing their lives too. And that's how I ended up. That's what started my journey on ending up having my very own blog too. So
Aww.
I always joke around that I'm an accountant, numbers cruncher turned blogger, and never would have guessed like 10 years ago. No, I would have laughed if somebody had told me that. So.
That's so cute though. I mean, that's awesome because you have passion and you have a story. And how much weight have you lost?
Let's see, from my highest weight, about 112 pounds.
Wow.
Yes.
That's quite a bit.
And I'm very comfortable where I'm at now. I haven't focused on the scale weight, in a year since I made up my original goal weight, but I know that I still have some body fat to burn because I have one of those area scales that measures body fat too. I know it's not that, it's not completely accurate, but it does show me trends if the body fat percentage is going down. So
I
that's more my focus.
Okay. So here's another question. Good. So what types of doctors do you work with?
All right. So I have a cardiologist at our local large health hospital system. And only because my dad has heart disease and both of my brothers do too. So this cardiologist wanted to follow the whole family because my dad's a frequent flyer in the cath lab. So I had him, he's actually the chief of cardiology too at the hospital. He's an amazing doctor. Seen him every year for a couple of years. And he actually was one person that planted a seed in my mind about the low carb living because I had told him I quit sugar. And he's like, that's great. That's awesome. Now, why don't you try giving up bread, pasta, and potatoes? And I was like, oh, those are healthy. I'm not giving those up, right? But that was the first seed that I had planted. So about 9 months later after that visit, not 9 months, 7 months later, because I saw him in June. And then the following January is when I found keto. And I was like, Doctor, he was right. He was absolutely right what I needed. So he completely supports my lifestyle. He's happy for me. And I love talking to him about it because I know he doesn't have all his patients following this lifestyle yet, but I encourage him every time I see him.
Yeah.
And then, then after I found keto, I went to functional medicine MD at the same hospital system. And she actually, what's interesting is she actually used to be one of the MDs in the weight loss clinic that I was involved in with that protein shake diet. And she's come around full circle to being more open. She's no longer with the weight loss clinic. She has her own clinic in the hospital now for integrative medicine. And she's awesome. I love her. She's very open to my lifestyle. She was very supportive from the get-go. And I see her every 6 months. And she's monitoring all my blood work. And she did, in-depth panels so I could see what my food sensitivities were. And I also did a stool test with her to see how my gut health was. I just love visiting her. So I have her. And then I have a pulmonologist that I went to for my sleep apnea. I don't have to go back to him anymore unless I have issues again, but he did a repeat sleep study on me to confirm that my obstructive sleep apnea was reversed. And he literally did the happy dance when we got the test results back because he said nobody gets off these CPAP machines. I wish I could use your story to inspire all my patients. And I'm like, anytime, just give me a call. So
yeah.
So those are the 3 doctors that I work with mostly. Yes.
That is fantastic because
Yep.
I mean, they have audiences, and if you can actually shift their thinking a little bit towards, the way we think, I think that's really, really cool. I love it. And then they can refer you clients for taking care of patients or something. So maybe you can be part controller, part, nutrition, lifestyle consultant or whatever,
Yes. That is definitely something I'm exploring and thinking what is going to be my next step with all this. I mean, my true passion is just to help people realize that there are other options out there. There are amazing different ways that people could eat. Somebody with my metabolism would find amazing results by following a keto or low carb, healthy fats way of eating. Incorporating intermittent fasting is a very powerful tool as well.
So let's talk about that. What do you love most about intermittent fasting?
Oh gosh, when my schedule's busy, I love that I don't have to eat. And when I've traveled, I love that I'm not focused on where's my next meal coming from and what am I going to be able to eat and when. And my daughter and I recently traveled in Ireland for 3 weeks, and I had to make sure to stop what we were doing, all of our adventures, so that she could eat because she doesn't do a lot of intermittent fasting. So I had to make sure that she was fed. But it's so freeing. It's like my mind is not consumed with thoughts of food, whereas before when I was a sugar burner, it was consumed with thoughts of food because my hormones were telling me, hey, you need to feed me again. And I just love that I don't experience that now. It is freeing physically and mentally.
Yeah, I did that when I went to go visit my son in New York. He was always eating, and I was always paying, of course.
Exactly.
But what I wanted to do is I wanted to go out to a nice dinner and really, really enjoy it. And so I did OMAD, 1 meal a day when I was there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it was perfect because I wasn't working out other than walking all over the city. But when I'm home and I'm, doing strength training or something, my appetite doesn't seem to let me do OMAD usually. Okay. So, but there, because I wasn't going to the gym first thing in the morning and just really getting my metabolism on, it seemed to work really well.
Yes, that's what I did a lot in Ireland. And I told her too, my daughter too, I said, I'm just really looking forward to, the farm fresh. I mean, everything is from farm or sea to table in Ireland. And it even says in the menus, where this beef came from or where the fish came from, who the fisherman was. So it was really fun. But yeah, she's not much of a breakfast eater either. So we didn't really, even though we were staying in a lot of bed and breakfast and paying for breakfast, neither one of us really ate it. But yeah, I said, I'll be ready to eat around dinner time, but if you need lunch, let me know and we'll find something for you. So it saved a lot of money too, because before when we used to travel, it was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What are we, that's a lot of money.
Oh God. Yes, it is.
Yes.
So that's why I said I wanted to save my appetite, save my money. And,
yes.
because New York's so expensive everywhere. But anyways, it worked out really well. So I like fasting.
Yes.
Plus, because I'm 53, I like the idea of the fact that, the autophagy, that I'm sloughing off the damaged cells.
Yes, exactly. It's like the fountain of youth.
Yeah, totally. So I have a question. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say I did quite a bit of extended fasting during my weight loss journey. And specifically, I was focused a lot on the autophagy. So
what kind of extended fasting did you do?
Most of the time, weekly, I would fast 3 42 hours fast a week. So on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I didn't eat. And that worked out perfect with my social calendar at the time, with my work calendar. I would eat on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, 2 meals a day, lunch and dinner. And then then I would be daily fasting 18/6 if I was eating, but then I would stretch out and not eat on Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday. So does that make sense?
Absolutely. So let's tell the listeners how come that is different from your liquid diet. So go ahead. Tell them why that is more effective and healthier.
Because I'm a fat burner now and not a glucose burner. When I was doing the liquid diet, I was constantly hungry. It was 800 calories a day. And what I was burning was sugar. And being a fat burner, I had plenty of extra fat to burn. And it gave me energy all day long. I didn't have hunger pains because my body was being fueled by ketones, which is different than being fueled by sugar.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe the difference because I was constantly hungry on that protein shake diet, constantly. And I have a very unique skill when it comes to dieting. I don't cheat. I stuck with that diet because I wanted the results. And the only results I wanted with that diet was the weight loss. And now my new thinking with my ketogenic diet is just realizing everything that it could heal in my body. And, I was getting older too. I was almost 50 at the time I discovered keto, and I'm 51 now. It's just amazing. I tell people that the weight loss is a wonderful side benefit, and I'm happy about it because I do believe it's part of why I feel so much better. But all the other healing that I did is the incredible part. So
we're going to talk about that for sure. Because I know that you have done all the labs, and you can report on, things that have changed in your body besides just the miraculous, amazing amount of weight that you've lost. But first, I just want to add to what you said. So this is my opinion. So the reason I think that it was easier or healthier for you to do the fasting and everything the way you did is because you were keto adapted. And so when your body needed fuel, instead of taking it from your muscles to convert it to glucose, it took it from your stored body fat and converted it to ketones.
Yes.
So the keto diet, right? So the keto diet is muscle sparing. So people's metabolism doesn't end up being lower, even though you went days without eating.
Right. And my metabolism was never in the crapper. I feel 100% like the best I've ever felt in my entire life with all my dieting tricks that I've tried over the years. I've never felt anything like this. When I used to diet, I felt deprived and hungry all the time. That's not the case with being on this ketogenic diet.
That's awesome. What other health benefits besides the weight loss? I've seen on your Instagram that you have some posts about lab tests. Yes,
I do. But like I mentioned, my functional medicine MD, she she monitors all of my testing. My blood work has always been fairly good across the board. So she's pretty satisfied that I'm still maintaining my blood markers as far as I do have to supplement with vitamin D, but I live in Michigan. I'm looking out the window right now at our biggest snowfall of the year so far. So it's really gray outside. So I do have to supplement with that. But the other types of tests that I've had that really showcase the healing that I've had is my abdominal ultrasounds on my liver. And like I mentioned already, my sleep apnea test. Huge. Yeah, that was such a relief. But the biggest thing, the thing I was most focused on when I started my keto journey, besides the weight loss, was my fatty liver, because I started having reoccurring ovarian cysts again. They just popped up as I was approaching turning 50. And so my doctor sent me, this was my gynecologist, a different doctor, but she sent me for an ultrasound, pelvic ultrasound and abdominal ultrasound to see what was going on, because they were quite painful. And I did have ovarian cyst that kept reoccurring. And it was also discovered during that ultrasound that I had fatty liver, which I really didn't know a lot about. And she kind of was more focused on the ovarian cyst. So I did a lot of research myself on fatty liver and realized it could turn into NASH liver disease and then eventually cirrhosis of the liver. And I was like, wow, I really need to do something about this. And that was another thing that sparked my interest into figuring out how I could reverse that. And that's how I got to the decision to start quitting sugar. So, and then a year after I discovered keto, I asked my functional medicine doctor if we could re-evaluate my liver to make sure that the fatty liver was gone. And so she ordered an abdominal ultrasound for me, and it was confirmed that my liver was completely healthy, and the report did not say fatty liver in it anywhere. So that was so exciting. That was like my biggest victory. I was like, yes.
So do you think there's a misconception with what causes fatty liver?
Oh, yes. I mean, I don't think that I didn't know that the abundance of carbohydrates and sugar I was ingesting was turning into fat in my liver. And it's not something ever, even in that hospital doctor program, nobody ever shared like how my body was metabolizing the sugar and where it was going, all the excess. So it was very eye-opening, all the research I did on my own too. So
yeah, I think that's a big thing. And because you are in the medical thing, let's talk a little bit about cholesterol.
Okay.
So from what you know, and with your functional medicine doctor's like results and all your stuff, talk to the listeners a little bit about cholesterol and just what your thoughts are about it.
All right. Well, what I used to know about cholesterol was based on my dad's heart history, and he is on statins, and he's had quadruple bypass surgery, and he's had 10 stents. So, of course, they wanted to control that with statins. I didn't know a lot about statins at the time, but my blood work was always pretty healthy, except my triglycerides were always high, but not high enough that my doctor wanted to do anything about it at the time, especially after I told him, and now I'm talking about the cardiologist, especially after I told him that I was going to try to fix this with my diet by quitting sugar. And so he was going to just monitor me every year. And ever since I started the keto diet, my functional medicine doctor has been testing my blood every 6 months. My triglycerides have gone down. My HDL was very low before. My HDL, which is the good cholesterol, it has gone up. And my LDLs have also gone up a little bit, not into anything like truly scary that my cardiologist has called me and said, you need to be in this office immediately because he wants to put me on statins. But so I did a lot of research on my own about the cholesterol and all these new ideas that are coming out. And can I mention some of the people that I'm following?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I follow Ivor Cummins. I really respect what he's doing in the area of cholesterol. And I watched a video lecture of Dr. David Diamond about the new thinking surrounding cholesterol, and it's very eye-opening, very interesting information indeed. And I'm not concerned about the slight abnormalities in my blood work yet because we're watching it every 6 months. So things are going in the correct direction is what I should say.
Did they look at your cholesterol to HDL ratio or your LDL particle size?
Yes, I've tested all of that, and I've done all the calculations myself, and I'm still very comfortable with where I'm at.
Cool. Awesome.
Yes.
So
yep.
What I've understood is that traditional lab Western, thinking, they want your HDL to be half as much as your triglycerides, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds familiar. Yep.
So that's what it shows on, that's what I've learned through talking to my doctor. So anyway, so you say, for instance, like as an example, your triglycerides are, say, 150 is, I think, the top of the, like they want it to be under 150. So then that means they want your HDL to be 75. Okay. So this is what they're recommending, at least at my lab. That's what it says. So you want it to be 2 to 1. Well, my cholesterol and my triglycerides are inversed, meaning that my triglycerides are less than my HDL.
Wow.
So that's keto.
Yes. Yep. And that's, I think, I wish I would have known that you were going to ask this question because I would have pulled the lab results out, but that's how I'm trending too. It's crazy how much my HDLs have gone up, which is, what I want and what I'm really focusing on. And the triglycerides are lower too, so that's good.
Yeah, that's really good.
As long as he's happy, I'm happy. So
yeah,
I really trust him because he supports my lifestyle. He has never tried to push a statin on me, especially after we talked about my diet and how I'm going to reverse, the things that he might have been concerned about. He's very open-minded, and I really appreciate that about him. He's not stuck in the old. He's not stuck in the old way of thinking. So,
yeah. That's why I go to my doctor, because he's got a holistic slant to him.
Yes.
And it's so crazy because I'm doing yoga teacher training right now, and he and his wife are both in the class.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
So you get to know him on a personal level too.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited because then I get to talk to him more, and yes. I really want to work with the physicians in my area to teach them about why keto is not a fad, why it's a really healthy lifestyle.
Right.
So,
and I mentioned at the beginning of our interview that I work for a physician organization, and we have a family practice in our building that's part of our physician organization. And I went down there and I talked to the there's 2 doctors and a nurse practitioner. And I went down there and I talked to them. I shared my story, and I said, please, please, please just be open-minded that there are other ways of eating out there that can help heal your patients. Because I know in their family practice, I know they are dealing with a lot of type 2 diabetics and other people that are metabolically disadvantaged. So they were very open to talking to me. I don't know if I walked out of there and they were like, they're crazy, or she's crazy, but seeing is believing, and they've seen my journey and they know what I've been through. So hopefully I sparked a little interest in them too.
That's perfect. I mean, if we all just kind of work with our own little sphere of influence, then we can create a movement,
Exactly.
So will you do me a favor and send me links to that new thinking surrounding cholesterol and the other resource with Ivor Cummings so that we can post some really cool links and articles for the show notes page?
Yeah, sure. I have a Word document that I've kept up adding links to it so that you can see.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Perfect. And then go ahead.
I was going to say, if you start going down that rabbit hole, block yourself out a couple of hours time because it's really fascinating.
Oh, I do. I tend to get very sucked in to.
Yes.
Seriously, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's already. I'm like,
I know. I was supposed to do 10 other things today, right? But
yes. What else? What other wisdom do you want to leave the listeners with today, Christine?
I am just so excited about all the healing that has taken place in my body. And I want people to have hope and to be excited that they could do the same thing for themselves too. I've blogged a whole series about, 8 of the top things that I've healed. And I see my friends doing the same thing, and there's just so much hope in it. Finally, realizing that there is another way. You don't have to do the standard old sad, standard American diet. And I would also like to encourage people to really spend the time doing their own research, because I get a lot of questions from people like, can you just, make me a menu and tell me what to do? And I'm happy to guide people in the right direction, but I find this whole lifestyle so fascinating. And I really try to encourage people to spend the time researching it themselves, because I believe that once you learn the science and you start applying the science to your life, that you are going to see a lot of life-changing things happening for yourself.
Yeah. I think that it becomes a difference between commitment and compliance. Yeah. Like, to me, compliance is you're working on a diet, you're following the rules, and you can't wait for it to be over. And commitment was like, like probably your liquid diet.
Yeah, that was my like my mindset. My liquid diet was compliance. I was such a good patient. Every time I went in and got weighed in, I was always, got a high five or whatever. But I was starving and miserable the whole time. And now I'm just so excited about this. I'm totally committed to this lifestyle. I'm committed to helping people. I'm committed to, just showing people the path and what they can achieve. Like, for me, I've eliminated my chronic exhaustion. I've eliminated obesity, fatty liver, sleep apnea, obstructive sleep apnea. I have to always remember to say obstructive, because there's difference between that and the central sleep apnea. I've healed my migraines and my headaches. I no longer get them. Inflammation and joint pain. I knew I was probably facing knee replacements at the very minimum. I have absolutely no pain in my knees anymore. And I really, reversed metabolic syndrome and my insulin resistance. Ovarian cysts, I don't have those anymore. I'm pretty positive that if back in the 80s and 90s when I was younger, if polycystic ovarian syndrome would have been a thing, I'm pretty sure I would have been diagnosed with it, because I struggled with that type of stuff all my life. Yeah. And that's no longer an issue anymore. My doctor, when we first discovered the cyst again with the ultrasound, she suggested a hysterectomy, and I didn't want to do that at the time, which is another reason that prompted me to start researching things. So.
Now, did you work out during this time? I forgot to even ask you about that.
Yeah, I did work out a little. I'm not one that goes to the gym like 6 days a week and puts in an hour of work. I went 3 times a week to a local gym, and Saturday mornings now I go to like a Pilates session at my church that we do every week. And then I just do some strength training, lifting here at home. I don't really have a set routine, but I do enjoy moving my body now. So, and before, when I was over 100 pounds overweight, exercise was futile. Even when I tried to stick to a good routine with it, I never saw results, and it was very frustrating. So now I love to move my body. And I mentioned my Ireland trip before. I used to not go on hikes with my family. If we were on any type of vacation, I would actually sit and read a book at the foot of the trail and wait for them to come back. My daughter and I were in the Wicklow Mountains at the very end of our trip, and we hiked 11 miles up into the Wicklow Mountains, which is something I've never done in my entire life. And it was the most amazing experience ever. And we did it fasted. And I felt bad that I made her do it fasted.
That's awesome, though. How beautiful.
Felt great. It was so amazing. I've got a picture of me at the summit with my arms raised. It was just crazy. Like, I just want to cry thinking about it, because it is not something I ever would have been able to do 100 pounds overweight.
Yeah. Yeah. What a blessing.
It was really
right?
hot that day too. Yes, it was really hot that day too. In Ireland.
And then you're
hot,
kicking, you're
crazy.
showing up your daughter. You're like, woo, look at your
Yes,
mom.
I was definitely showing her up. I'm like, come on, keep up, keep up. So,
Oh,
and she's an athlete too, she used to be a competitive figure skater, and she's very fit. And yeah, she had to keep up with me. So
I love that. That's like my favorite
Yes.
thing you've heard. That's so fun. Cool.
yes, exactly.
So how can people find you, my dear?
I am on my own personal blog. The website address is joyfulketolife.com. And I'm on Instagram as Keto Christine 317. Hold on, let me double check that. Yes, Keto Christine 317. Christine is spelled Christine, and 317 is my birth date, St. Patrick's Day, so people can remember that. And I'm on Twitter as Keto Christine 317 also, so they can find me there.
That's wonderful. And then I forgot to ask
Yes.
you, when you had your food sensitivity testing, what types of foods showed up?
Oh, potatoes. Go figure.
Oh.
Yes, potatoes. I know, it's so bizarre. I was like, wow, what a shock. Yes. And with like my Irish ancestry, I was totally puzzled by it, but whatever. Potatoes was the big thing that struck me. A few different types of grains and a few different higher carb vegetables. I can't remember off the top of my head, but overall, the most striking thing was potatoes.
So no dairy or eggs?
Mozzarella cheese, which is weird. And yeah, just one cheese.
Was it an
And
IgG?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or IgA. Is it IgG? Yeah. Yes, you're right.
Okay.
So it was, it was really interesting.
You're lucky.
And yeah, potatoes. Yep.
Seriously, like potatoes. Okay, well, I'm keto, so who cares? I was like eggs, dairy, almonds, peanuts. I'm like, oh my gosh, avocado. All this stuff came up.
No, it was, it was, I was actually pretty pleased with the results and shocked, but not shocked about the potatoes. Like, look what potatoes did to me all these years. 30 years of eating potatoes. I mean, we used to be a meat and potato dinner family. I'd always have some type of potato side dish.
Yeah.
As soon as I quit potatoes, my life changed.
Well, good.
So.
Thank God. More people need to get food sensitivity testing done.
Yes, for sure.
So,
and my daughter, I've mentioned my daughter too. She just had it done, and I know that she's been battling with some type of gluten or some type of sensitivity. So all the grains showed up highly sensitive for her. So I've got her following low carb, healthy fats now too.
yay!
So,
and I like how you said that, healthy fat.
Yes. Oh, yes, that's what I always say, because I don't want to scare people with high fat. Like, what are you talking about?
No,
So
that's
I always say healthy fats.
yeah, that's perfect. Low carb, healthy fat. I love it. Awesome. Well, it was so awesome chatting with you, my dear. I'm so happy that your sleep apnea is gone and fatty liver and all of that.
Yes.
There's so many health benefits that people can enjoy when they just take the plunge and go for it. And I love how you said, really understand the science.
Right, right.
Well, I'm going to steal a bunch of that.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to say is, like, I don't feel deprived one bit because I get to eat so much whole, healthy foods. I love avocado. I love bacon. There is nothing that I'm missing from the way I eat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, because the avocado and bacon used to be bad on diets, right?
Right, right.
So that's very, very true. So awesome. Well, thank you so much again, Christine. And I just appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day and sharing your awesome story.
Thank you so much, Tracy. It was such a pleasure.
Wow, I enjoyed talking to Christine so much. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you were inspired as well. She was able to completely change her life with the keto diet. And I am sure that you know somebody who would be motivated and inspired to hear her story, so please share the episode with them. And I would love for you to also head on over to iTunes, where we always love your ratings and reviews so that more people can find the show and be inspired by these amazing guests. So thank you again for listening. Please go out and make it an awesome day. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guests specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion and I could be wrong.